Hello, everybody. Welcome to our SIG K8s-Infra bi-weekly meeting. This meeting is held under the CNCF Code of Conduct and be nice to each other. My name is Mohammed. I'm one of the tech leads. And some of my co-leads and chairs are also in this meeting. I see a couple of new faces I haven't seen before. So come say hi. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're looking to do. Okay, let's take a look at some bills. Um, all right, so for those of you who are new, this is our billing dashboard for Google Cloud and AWS. It shows us how we're spending year to date, as well as on a monthly basis, and how our costs have changed. Our costs are looking good. Um, there's a bit of a marked drop there. The this here is the view between both services. And this table here is on a daily spend. The usual suspects are there. Looking at GCP in particular, we're looking okay. Where are we? Looking at AWS, AWS things are also looking rather good as well. Our spends are within nominal ranges. And yeah, any questions? Okay. Yeah, Arno, go ahead.
Do we have visibility on like other stuff like IBM Cloud?
Not in Datadog.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
One question then, should we ask Mario to do a billing report? Because I don't think we did that in a while.
Yeah, let's ask him to go and get one. Um,
Okay, I will ping him. He's at the conference. I will ping him after he gets back end of the week or something like that.
okay, that's fine. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. So other than that, the billing for the main cloud platforms are looking good. For AWS, I would like us to look into purchasing AWS savings plan. I believe we can do that. And to verify that, I will go ahead and make a very small purchase upfront and verify that is charged correctly and is comes out of the credit. Once that's been verified, I will present the exact figures. I believe there's already a recommendation if you log into the management account. Um, yeah, go ahead, if touch.
Are you using the capabilities by Datadog to recommend based on usage which savings plan should be
No, not
purchased
quite.
or via the AWS console?
We're using AWS console to tell us that, because I believe that's a bit more accurate. But
No
we'll
worries.
cross-reference those numbers with the Datadog suggestions too as well, and then pick a final figure after that. Um,
Are we looking to modify um, I think that Marco, remind me, are we using Carpenter for some of the auto scaling needs? And if so, do we want to modify the nodes to reflect those savings plan and configure certain parameters such as weight to prioritize usage of those savings plan inclusive nodes before it goes on demand?
The savings plans that we're targeting are the ones that allow us to use multiple regions. It's not the cheapest. It doesn't give you the biggest discount, but it's one that will suit us because we drop workloads into all the AWS regions, right? So
Mhm.
we'll get more savings out of that. It'll be the
100%.
compute one that covers all the services, Lambda, EKS, Fargate, and EC2.
Hmm.
Uh, it's,
No way.
it's about 10% difference, but we think that savings is losing that savings is worthwhile if you can cover per dollar spending across all the regions in all the member accounts.
You will definitely see, it's a good tactic to start small, see how well we utilize those services using the savings and the cost management console in AWS, and then you could follow based on need. Uh, the Yeah, that's essentially it. Um, there's many tactics to use also with overlays, new features of overlays and static quotas in a sense if you want to maintain usage, but that's a later evolution.
Okay. I'll present some numbers and then we can have a discussion and figure out what's what. Uh, yeah, Arno, go ahead.
Uh, just for information, we cannot use compute saving plans on AWS. So we have basically, if we want to anticipate kind of like custom optimization, we cannot use the saving plans right now. So I think we need to go with resource saving plans instead of compute one.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what's there, and see what we can actually do. Okay. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask about what we need to do? I might file a support ticket actually and to figure out what this credit actually covers. Turned out it doesn't actually cover things in the marketplace, supposedly. Hence why we got hit with a $7 charge last month. If you saw that mail thread. Um,
Honestly, maybe better to check if you have anyone in AWS. I am not sure if the support will know 100% accurately, like if it works or not. I think like I know that we poked at this before, and I think we had some help from AWS folks to figure this out. It's not easy thing.
There's an email thread with our account manager about the compute saving plans. I was asking about this, and they told us like basically, if we want to use compute saving plans, it's an upfront commitment, which means Cynthia will pay for it because our credit doesn't don't allow to basically use that. So the only option will be to have like savings per instance type instead of covering everything compute related.
but the bulk of the spend that we do want to cover is EC2. So if we can get
In
reserve
that
instances
in that
and
case,
that covers.
it's not going to be possible because the way saving plans want is like on AWS more like you want to commit first. So on the email, the explanation was like you basically want to identify resource specifically the instance type you want to buy commitment from. So on
Oh,
basically, technically through the console, you could do simulation and see what's happening. But when you do the buying, we CNCF got to get charged.
yeah, we don't want to do that. So
So
all right.
look at the email thread. There's an email thread about this last year, and
Okay,
you
I'll
can
dig up the emails and see what's going on there.
yeah, and you can even basically get the email of the account manager and ping about this.
Okay.
Couldn't it be possible that even if we go ahead and purchase, then the purchased amount is then credited back from the credit that we have
No,
that someone could?
the system will not allow. Currently, the system doesn't allow that. I think that's like basically the information we have is like currently the system doesn't allow that. But we don't know for the future. We don't know if like it's gonna we could basically say, okay, that's a future request we want because we like we want to optimize our costs and they do something about it.
Mm. I mean,
Because I see your
the
point is basically we buy and we got some kind of buyback.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
it gets offset from the credit that we already have.
Yeah, we could even do that in anticipation. We'll basically say, okay, yeah, we do commitment for this year and we can buy back for next year. Those kind of things. But like that's gonna be that's look like a feature request. So I think there's a conversation we might trigger and see what's happening. But the information we had is basically as for 2025, buying compute saving plans is not possible for us with the credit we have.
Hmm.
Just to confirm, compute savings plan is not possible, but instance savings plan is possible.
It's the email we had is basically, yeah, it's possible.
And
But
but that it's possible with all options of upfront, full upfront, partial upfront, or no upfront, or neither, or some of.
I think it's more like all the options are possible, but we have to confirm because it's been like a year we asked about this, so we don't know if how the credit evolve internally on AWS. So we have to like ask again, basically have different options, have different scenarios where we basically say, okay, we want to optimize our cost and have like maybe savings plan is not possible. What are the other options about basically either we buy instance resources and we can easily identify those if we look. I think there's a new feature on AWS that can identify the most instance type use over I think 90 days, and we can do something like that.
Yeah, because instance savings plan um, would allow us to work with, it's supposedly better suited if we like to have some kind of mapping to the allowed resources or instance flavors. And instance savings plan doesn't necessarily dictate the size. So um, as long as it stays within the family per se, a C6 will remain a C6. Graviton, or I don't know if it's inclusive on architecture, specific on architecture, but that's also something that we could verify.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
I think it's
100% sure on
those
that.
are the kind of things we can basically put in the request and like even having a conversation about this. I don't know what the availability of the account manager is about. So it's like we could put all those questions in email and basically say, okay, we want to do this. Is it possible on that? Because initially when I talked to the account manager, the idea was to like average compute service plans to cover all the account because we have like the account for the E2E test, the CI cluster we have, which have like different instance types. So I
Mhm.
wish it was possible to leverage that.
Happy to help in any way.
Okay.
If you want to involve me in this conversation, just from a design or planning standpoint.
Okay, we'll send you a note once we figured out what we're doing. Thank you. All right, what else do we have? Let's see. So we've been dealing with some CDN issues. So let me pull up something I've put together recently. So for some time, I've been running synthetic testing using Datadog. There's a couple of endpoints that we test, one of them being our image registry. And the other one that I added over the last few days was our Fastly CDN. As you can see, fetching markers is pretty bad actually. We have hardly any uptime. We're unable to fetch markers within 1 second. So this is what the test threshold is set at. So I looked at our configuration, and the problem happens for a couple of reasons. When we create the objects in Google Cloud Storage, we give it cache control settings. One that we don't strip out of when we fetch the objects using Fastly, right? And then we send it back to the client. So, for example, we set cache control incorrectly, right? Which means that the markers never ever get cached. That was one thing. And then there were some other things too that I fixed up. So we've deployed this in a dev endpoint of the. So right now, Fastly runs here, and it also runs at dl.k8s.dev. This was not a domain that was being used, so I used it. So we have a working configuration of the Fastly CDN now that caches markers, and there's a few other things that you should have done that we weren't doing, and now we're getting much better results out of it, as you can see here. By the way, this is an aggregate uptime from 23 different global probes, which is why it's not 100%. But if you look at the underlying probes themselves, there's only like a few that were flaking. But you see it's like 100% throughout various regions around the world. So this change is ready to deploy. I have an open PR. I need to put in there how we're going to deploy this and roll it out. So if you look at the current production marker right now, it's very unhealthy. Look at this. It's like we're unable to get quick responses even in the US, which is kind of insane. Like I don't really know what's going on. But yeah, so we gotta figure that out. So yeah, so it's all done. I need some plus ones on the PR. I'm gonna write up the upgrade steps, and then I'm gonna roll that out possibly tomorrow evening or later today, depending on how fast I can get approvals. Any questions?
What's the alerting associated and how is that working?
So right now we don't get alerted actually.
Is the
It's not like
intention to
the
get
CDN is completely offline. The CDN works, but I lowered the threshold enough to see the problem that people are reporting about.
understood?
Right. So for example, when I pull up this test, so like the test is failing. It's just saying, oh, it took 4 seconds. Also, another good example is it? You see here, the LA probe that's in the Google Cloud got a response back in half a second. Well, that's good. Why is the one here in Ohio taking more than a second? Right, like there's a misconfiguration in our CDN. Now that the fixes have been applied, the response times are much better. Sub 100 milliseconds actually. Look here. Now that we've done caching and we're not doing origin trips, it's a lot quicker.
Very nice.
But there is one caveat though. Well, I explained this to Marco earlier in the week. SIG release needs to update KRL so that they call fast API to purge certain keys every time they cut a release. Now that since we cache the markers, when you've cut a release and you've updated the underlying GCS file, you also need to make an API call to Fastly and say, oh, the files have been updated now. Please purge the caches globally. So Fastly will initiate a purge, and you should have the latest markers available immediately. Everything else that we're serving at this domain is cacheable indefinitely because it's release artifacts that are never touched again. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Someone put in here about the annual report. Yeah, we need to fill one of these in. Let me open the issue. All right, chairs, how are we doing with this annual report? Is it ready? Okay, I'll get back to the group on this one. We'll talk privately and fill this in. If anybody wants to add anything to our annual report, do let us know, and we'll highlight in there some of the work you're doing, and some of the things we want to do in the coming year. Um, okay, does anyone have anything else they want to discuss? All right. Nobody has anything else to discuss, then we'll end the meeting here. Thank you for attending. It was nice to see everyone. And I look forward to
Excuse
seeing. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I had one thing. Actually, this is my first time joining the infra call. I'm new to Kubernetes. I have been contributing in few other areas, and I wanted to get started on the infra level contributions here. So what would be the right place to get started with, or are there any areas where you are urgently seeking help on few issues? Maybe I can help out with that.
So the best place to start from is have a look at here. So this is our repository where we hold a lot of the infrastructure, resources, and code, right? So we have
Yeah.
some 80 odd open issues. So have a look at some of these and see what you can do. I think that's one place to start from. Try that and see how that goes.
Okay, and I can ping on the channel itself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right then, everybody. Thank you for attending. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
See you.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.